September 12, 1997, exactly at 12:30 a.m., Los Angeles, California. 6 men walked into one of the most secure buildings in the United States. Armed guards, motion sensors, cameras everywhere. Alarms connected directly to the police. They walked out 30 minutes later with $18.9 million in cash. No alarms went off. No even one bullet fired. No one knew they were there until it was too late. The FBI investigated for 2 years. Best forensics team in the world. Unlimited resources. They found almost nothing because the men who planned it didn't break in. They had the keys. What your mind won't handle is what the men did after taking $18.9 million in cash. The men left without a trace, returned to a house party, kept drinking like nothing happened. 2 years later, the FBI admitted they never would have caught them. If one man had made one fatal mistake, your mind is about to explode. If you're new to the channel, I am Moomin. Here we reveal dark, hidden stories, the ones you were never meant to know. I left home and crossed the world alone at 14. I learned something fast. Survival is a complex machine. It doesn't just run on strength. It runs on silence, loss, fear, and most importantly, on what we choose to remember. Before we dive in, subscribe, follow, and hit like. Be part of the family. As we always say, sit back and relax. It's just the first 100 years that are the hardest. Now, let me tell you what they broke into and why everyone thought it was impossible. When you think about where money is kept, you think of banks. But there is another system, one most people never see. Armored car companies. They don't serve customers. They move billions of dollars in cash every single day. From Federal Reserves to banks, from banks to ATMs. In the 1990s, one of the biggest was Dunbar Armored. Their Los Angeles facility sat on Matthew Street, industrial area. No foot traffic, no attention. From the outside, concrete walls, small windows, a loading dock, more like a castle full of cash. From the inside, a fortress. The main vault had reinforced walls thick enough to survive explosives. The door weighted thousands of pounds. Multiple keys, multiple combinations. But here's what most people don't know. On Friday night, the vault was left open. Why? Because Friday was the busiest night. Business sent cash deposits. Banks restocked ATMs for the weekend. Millions moving in and out consistently. To speed things up, the vault door stayed open during peak hours. Now think for a second and imagine the level of security presence. Armed guards ready to shoot anyone that comes close. Cameras recording. Security at Dunbar was serious. Dozens of cameras covering every entrance, hallway, vault, loading dock. alarms on every door, motion sensors, smoke alarms, panic buttons, all connected directly to the police. Armed guards on site 24/7. Access control. Every door needed a key or a key card. The system was designed to be bulletproof from the outside. But what if the threat came from the inside? What if someone who worked there decided to use their access? And that's where the story begins. Alan Pace III, 30 years old, in 1997, born and raised in Campton, California. Quiet and remarkable, the kind of person you would pass on the street and forget. But Alan Pace had something most people didn't: complete access to the Dunbar Armored facilities, where billions of cash was stored. He worked as a regional safety inspector. Sounds boring, right? But the job gave him access to everything. His job was to ensure the facility met safety regulations, fire drills, emergency exits, alarm systems, structural integrity. To do that job, he needed keys to every single door, access codes to restricted areas. He knew where every camera was positioned, and more importantly, where blind spots were. He knew security schedules, when guards took their breaks, when shifts changed, when facility was most vulnerable. He knew the vault was left open on Friday night, and he knew something else. The money in the vault wasn't tracked individually in real time. It was counted, bags were labeled, totals recorded. But the specific bills, serial numbers, weren't logged as they sat inside. Once cash was in the vault, it was just cash, stacks of it, bags of it. If someone took it without leaving evidence, tracing it would be nearly impossible. Alan Pace understood all of this. And in early 1997, he made a decision. He was going to rob the place, but he couldn't do it alone. May 1997, Pace gathered 5 men he'd known his entire life. Childhood friends from Campton. They've grown up for 20 to 25 years. All what they did during their younghood is hang out, party, drink, breakdance, rap music, and smoke, and even chill and just have fun in the weekends. Very close friends, no previous crime whatsoever. Their names: Eric Boyd, Egan Hill Jr., Frederick Jr., Terry Brown Sr., Thomas Lee Johnson. These were career criminals. None of them had serious records. They were ordinary men, working jobs. Some had families, some had kids, but they all spent their lives watching other people get rich while they worked paycheck to paycheck. Maybe you know this routine. Wake up, work, pay bills, repeat, watching the rich get richer while you're just trying to survive until Friday. We all know the rat race. Peace brought them to someone's house. One night, they were drinking and relaxed, and he had a question. What if we could become millionaires in one night. They laughed, thought he was joking. Pace was talking about robbing Dunbar Armored, a fortress. Impossible. They mocked him. But then Pace pulled out papers, blueprints, floor plans of the whole facility, camera locations marked in red, guards' schedules, access points, vault procedure. He'd been planning this for months. The laughter stopped. Pace walked them through it, step by step. The Friday night vault opening. How to avoid every camera. How to subdue guards without firing one bullet. How to load the money and disappear in under 1 hour. Then he told them how much they could take. Approximately an estimate between 15 to 20 million dollars in cash, split 6 ways, over 3 million each. The room went silent. Egan Hill asked the obvious question: how do we get away with it? Pace smiled. Because I know everything they're going to do to catch us, and I know exactly how to avoid it. They didn't agree immediately. They met several times, discussed it in details. They even poked every single hole in the plan, but they couldn't find any. By June 1997, all 6 men fully committed. The planning phase began, and this is where the plan should have failed. But it didn't. For 3 months, Pace prepared with military precision. On 11 September 1997, one day before the robbery, Alan Pace was fired from Dunbar Armored. Official reason: tampering with company vehicles. It was deliberate. He triggered his own firing to create separation. So he took the vehicle out from sight to go and have lunch, and that's not allowed by company policy. When the robbery happened, he wouldn't be an employee, just another ex-employee with a grudge. But here is the critical part. Pace was fired, but his access wasn't immediately revoked. He still had his keys, he still had his codes. Security protocols required terminated. By security protocols, every employee that was terminated should return his credentials. This didn't happen. Adam Pace walked out on September 11th with everything he needed to walk back in 12 hours later. Next, equipment: ski masks, gloves, dark clothing, weapons, 2 pistols, 1 shotgun. They wouldn't be fired, but they needed them to intimidate people, and a rented U-Haul truck, 14 feet long, perfect for loading cash. Egan Hill rented it using a fake name. On the night of Friday, September 12th, all 6 men attended a house party. Dozens of people, friends, neighbors, witnesses who could testify they saw Pace, and others drinking, laughing, celebrating. They arrived at the party exactly at 9 o'clock, stayed until 11:45 p.m. Then, one by one, they quietly slipped away. Here is what the FBI didn't expect. They were about to execute the largest cash robbery in American history, and then go back to the party like nothing has happened. Alan Pace walked to the side entrance. He inserted his keys. The door opened. They were inside. Now comes the hardest part. The cameras. Pace had timed every camera in the building down to the second. The crew moved in those windows, one by one, moving when cameras turned away. They reached the employee cafeteria and waited. This was critical. At 12:30 a.m. on Friday, employees took breaks in shifts. Pace knew this. He used to take those same breaks as each employee entered the cafeteria. They were ambushed. Fast. Within 15 minutes, every employee in the building was captured, bonded, gagged, placed in a dark room. Not a single shot fired. Not a single alarm triggered. Then they moved to the vault. The door was open, exactly as Pace knew it would be. Inside, rows of canvas bags, each filled with cash. But they didn't grab them randomly. Pace knew which bags had the highest face value. So he knew exactly where the 100 bills were. Without wasting a single second, they targeted those first. Bag after bag. 18.9 million in cash in 30 minutes. But they took something else too. The security tapes. By 1:15 a.m., they were back at the house party, changed out of their black clothing. Cash hidden, pre-arranged location across the city. They drank, they laughed, they danced. Witnesses later testified under oath. Alan Pace was at the party. At 6:30 a.m., the next shift arrived at Dunbar facility. They found employees bounded in the back room. The vault was empty. The largest cash robbery in American history. And the police had almost nothing. Within hours, they knew it was an inside job. Then came a sharp knock. Deliberate knock at the door. Pace froze. He didn't need to look. He knew who it was. The FBI. Alan Pace was interviewed 4 times in the first week. Where were you that night? At a party. Dozens saw me. You were recently fired. Are you angry? Yes, but not angry enough to commit a federal crime. Do you still have your keys? No. Returned them. He was lying, but there was no evidence to prove it. Meanwhile, the 6 men did nothing. Didn't touch the money. Didn't spend $1. went to work, lived a normal life. Because Pace warned them, the moment you change your behavior, buy something you couldn't afford before, they'll know. Stay normal, stay invisible. For 6 months, $18.9 million in cash sat hidden across Los Angeles. The FBI had nothing. No footage, no prints. The investigation went cold. March 1998, 6 months after the robbery, Alan Pace made his first move. He hired a lawyer, David Matsumoto, immigration and business lawyer. Pace walked into his office with a duff bag. Inside $1 million in cash. He told the solicitor he needed help with business structure, real estate, investments, consultant work. Where did the money come from? Party equipment, businesses, cash-heavy industry. Client paid cash. Sounded possible. If you saw this, you would think twice. But Matsumoto, he smiled and said, I can help. Matsumoto took the job. Over the next 18 months, he helped Pace and his crew launder nearly $10 million. Here is how. Step 1. Fake businesses. Shell companies, event planning equipment, rental cars, car washes, consultant services. But they didn't actually do anything. Step 2. Fake income. Matsumoto prepared W-2. They are tax sheets basically in the US, showing the 6 men earned large salaries from these companies. 50,000 here, 70,000 here, spread over time. Looked legit. Step 3. Real estate. They started buying properties, houses, apartments, small commercial spaces. Eric Boyd laundered through his father, construction company, 177,000, documented as business income. Egan Hill bought multiple properties, rented them out, looked like a successful investor. McRae, Brown, and Johnson did the same. Small investment, carefully spreading. Nothing flashy. By late 1998, more than a year after the robbery, they were living like millionaires. New cars, not Ferraris. Just nice ones, like your Beamers. New houses. Expensive clothes, but explainable by their business income. Pace didn't even have a bank account in his own name. Operated entirely through cash. For 2 years, they were invisible. Millionaires, untouchable. And then Egan Hill made a mistake. The kind that destroyed everything. Your mind is about to be blown. Because what happened next destroyed everything they have built. 2 years after the robbery, Egan Hill was doing well. Very well. He was meeting with a real estate broker. The broker he had worked with before. Another residential property. Small apartment complex. Purchase price $100,000. He brought cash, walked into the broker office with a bag, handed over stacks of bills. The broker started counting, then stopped. The bills were still wrapped in their original currency straps, bank binds, the kind you use to organize cash. The broker looked at Hill. "Where did you get this?" He panicked, made up an excuse. "Business deal. Client paid in cash." Perfectly reasonable. The broker didn't believe him because those straps had dates. September 1997. After Hill left his office, the broker went to the police. The police examined the strap, ran ID numbers, cross-referenced with theft and major crimes. Dunbar Armored, September 12, 1997. The bands matched the cash stored in the vault that night. FBI noticed immediately. Agents began surveillance on Egan Hill. Police financial records reviewed every property purchase, every transaction, every deposit. They noticed something. Egan Hill rented a U-Haul on September 12, 1997. Rental under Lee Smith. But the signature matched Hill's handwriting. On September 22, 1999, exactly 2 years and 10 days since the robbery, Egan Hill Jr. was arrested. 14 hours of questioning. He broke, told them everything. The planning, the robbery, who was involved, where the money was hidden, and how they laundered the money, and who helped. Names: Pace, Boyd, Freddie, Brown, and Thomas Johnson. The lawyer: David Matsumoto. Location: storage units, properties, and bank accounts. Within 2 months, all 6 were in custody. For 2 years, perfect execution. Millions laundered, flawless alibi, all destroyed by a currency strap. Trials began early 2001. Conspiracy to commit armed robbery, use of firearms in commission of a felony. Egan Hill, who cooperated, got a deal. Testify against the others, reduced sentence. He took it. The other 5 went to trial. Alan Pace maintained innocent, claimed he was being framed, but evidence was overwhelming. Financial records showing millions in unexplained income. April 23, 2001. Alan Pace, found guilty on all charges, sentenced to 24 years in federal prison. Eric Boyd, 17 years. Freddie, 11 years. Teddy Brown, 10 years. Thomas Johnson, 8 years. Egan Hill, 12 years. Significantly reduced. David Matsumoto, 2.5 years. Jacqueline Ben Matsumoto, assistant, 2.5 years. Alan Pace was sent to Federal Correction Facility. It's an institute in Arizona. He served 9 years. He was released in October 1st, 2020. He's alive today, free, living somewhere in the United States. And he's never spoken publicly about what happened. Here is what haunts investigators. Of the $18.9 million stolen, only about $9 million was recovered. That means roughly $10 million is still missing. Gone. Where? No one knows. Pace never talked, even after his conviction. Even after 2 decades in prison, never revealed where the rest went. Some believe it was hidden before arrests, buried offshore, given to trusted people, not identified. Others believe it was spent quietly over years, untraceable. But there is another theory, one that emerged years later. Some investigators believe that the Dunbar robbery was not organized by 6 men. They believe that it was part of a larger organization, that Pace and his crew worked for someone else. No proof, pure speculation. But consider this. How did 6 men with no criminal record execute one of the most sophisticated robberies in American history? How did they know how to launder $18.9 million in cash? No one slept until one man forgot to remove a currency strap. And how is it possible after all the arrests? $10 million vanished. FBI officially closed the case in 2001. Criminals caught, justice served. But that 10 million was never found. And Alan Pace, the man who had the keys, who planned everything, who knew every detail, he's out now, and he's never said a word. On September 12th, 1997, 6 men walked into one of the most secure buildings in the United States of America and walked out with $18.9 million in cash, because one man understood the system better than the people who have built it. If Egan Hill had taken 5 seconds to remove those currency straps, this story would have ended differently. The FBI would still be investigating. The money would still be missing. And the 6 men from Campton would be living as millionaires, no matter how perfect the plan is, no matter how careful the preparation are. One mistake can destroy everything. Egan Hill didn't get caught because the FBI was smart. He got caught because he forgot to remove a piece of paper. Think about that. 2 years of flawless execution. Millions laundered successfully. Perfect alibi. All destroyed by a currency strap. Now, I want to ask you something. Was this the perfect crime? Or the perfect example of trusting the wrong friends? Let me know in the comments. I am Momin. Relax until the next story.